Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today T.D.O.G just filed a material change in their benchmark provider, and I am seeing one change that matters. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The 21 shares Dogecoin ETF is switching its pricing benchmark, and this could signal a shift in how the crypto ETF operates. So what is happening here is that the 21 shares Dogecoin ETF, or T.D.O.G as it is known by its ticker symbol, is making a pretty significant change. They are switching the benchmark index they use to price their shares. This is important because the benchmark is like the rule book for how the ETF's value is determined. Up until now, the ETF has been using an index called the CF Dogecoin Dollar US Settlement Price Index, but they are moving away from that. The big news here is that on the 20th of August 2026, the ETF sponsor, which is 21 Shares US LLC, signed a new agreement. This is a licensing agreement with a company called FTSE International Limited. FTSE is going to provide a new benchmark, and this one is called the FTSE Dogecoin Index. This new index will become the official pricing benchmark for the ETF. Why is this happening now? Well, it seems like the ETF sponsor had previously notified their old benchmark provider, CF Benchmarks Limited, that they were terminating their agreement. That termination was set to happen at the end of August 2026. So this new deal with FTSE is essentially a replacement. Starting the 27th of August 2026, the ETF will start using this new FTSE Dogecoin Index. This means the way the ETF's value is calculated and how its shares are priced will change. The agreement with FTSE is set for an initial 1-year term, and it will automatically renew for subsequent years unless it is terminated. FTSE is a UK-based company and they have experience with digital asset indexes. Importantly, they are not affiliated with the 21 shares sponsor, which can sometimes be a good thing for transparency. Now, if you are trying to keep up with all these filings and understand what they mean for your investments, it can be a lot. That is why I use decoded.report. It distills complex corporate data into easy to understand risk indexes, red flag scans pulled directly from filings, and tracks how quickly shares are being printed. You can find the direct link waiting for you in the video description and the pinned comment. Okay, back to what this actually means for shareholders. But that is not the only change coming. There is also an amendment to the sponsor agreement. This is an agreement between the ETF itself and its sponsor, 21 Shares US LLC. The key change here is about how the sponsor gets paid. Before, the sponsor fee was paid weekly in arrears. Now, that payment will be made at least quarterly in arrears. And importantly, these payments will be made in Dogecoin. This change in payment timing and method is effective as of the 26th of August 2026. These changes, the new benchmark and the sponsor fee adjustment, are also being reflected in the trust agreement. On the 26th of August 2026, the ETF and its trustee, Wilmington Trust NA, entered into a third amended and restated trust agreement. This document updates the previous agreement to include the use of the FTSE Dogecoin Index, the new payment schedule for the sponsor fee, and some other smaller technical adjustments. The filing notes that these revisions do not materially impact the rights of the trust or the holders of its shares. Looking at the exhibits filed with this report, we have the third amended and restated trust agreement as Exhibit 3.1. Then we have the benchmark licensing agreement with FTSE as Exhibit 10.1, and amendment number 1 to the sponsor agreement as Exhibit 10.2. These documents provide the full details of these changes. So, to wrap it up, the 21 shares Dogecoin ETF is making two key operational shifts: a new benchmark for pricing its shares and a change in how and when its sponsor is paid. These moves are designed to ensure the ETF continues to function smoothly, with the new benchmark expected to be in place very soon. Looking at the broader context, the 21 shares Dogecoin ETF launched in January 2026, aiming to provide investors with direct exposure to Dogecoin's price movements. The news of switching benchmark providers isn't necessarily a sign of distress, but rather a strategic adjustment in the world of ETFs. Especially those tracking volatile assets like cryptocurrencies, having a reliable and transparent pricing benchmark is crucial. The move from one established index provider to another, like FTSE, suggests a commitment to maintaining that reliability. The change in sponsor fee payment to Dogecoin is also interesting. It aligns the ETF's operational costs more closely with the underlying asset, potentially smoothing out some of the administrative complexities. While it is a small operational detail, it shows an effort to integrate the ETF's mechanics with the digital asset it represents. What this all boils down to is a standard operational update for an ETF. The key takeaway is that the ETF is adapting its infrastructure to ensure it continues to accurately reflect the price of Dogecoin, There are no red flags suggesting immediate problems, but it is always wise to watch how these benchmark changes play out in practice. What I am actually looking for is how this new benchmark, the FTSE Dogecoin Index, will perform in terms of tracking Dogecoin's price compared to the old one. If it proves to be more accurate or stable, that is a win for investors. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description.